Welcome back to Star Citizen. My name is Lance Vader, and we're going to do another review. Today, we're going to review the Aurora. The Aurora, now, I'm not going to review the Aurora MR, and there's a very good reason for that. The Aurora MR is the Aurora that you can buy that's at the same cost level as the Mustang Alpha, and I had intended to do a review of each of the starter ships. I had intended to review the Aurora MR the same way that I reviewed the Mustang Alpha, by renting an Aurora MR and going into space with it. Unfortunately, you can't do that. I realized today that you cannot rent an Aurora MR. You can only rent the Aurora ES. The Aurora ES is the stripped down version of the Aurora. It's so stripped down that they don't even sell it. I don't think they even sell it in the pledge store. It's sort of intended as an in-game cheap ship. It is the cheapest ship that you can buy, and it has the absolute lowest grade components. I thought that would be a very poor way to demonstrate the power and capabilities of the Aurora. So instead, I'm taking out the Aurora LX. This has been kind of modified from its original base state by myself. We're going to take it out for a little spin. The Aurora is one of the starter ships in the game, and as a starter ship, we should judge it on the merits of a starter ship and on the level of a starter ship. One thing that you're going to find is that the Aurora is a surprisingly good fighter for a starter ship. The Aurora can do PvP, just like the Mustang can do PvP if you put in some components, some new weapons. You know, you gotta at least put a weapon in each hard point. But the Aurora and the Mustang are both perfectly capable of doing PvP combat. The thing is, I don't really recommend PvP combat to people who are new to the game, because no matter how good your hardware is, there are people who have been playing this game quite a bit, and they're gonna wreck you when you're new to it. So if you can do PvP. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do, but there's not a lot of credits in game currency to be made doing that. So those Alpha UEC, you can't really get a lot of them from doing PvP. If you're going to do combat with a ship and get credits in game, then what you're going for is PvE bounties, and we're gonna do one of those PvE bounties, and we're going to. Oh, I forgot to accept call to arms when I woke up. We're gonna accept call to arms right now. All right, we're gonna find and apprehend Montague Alatorre. Apprehending in Star Citizen for right now, and as of version 3.17.1, just means killing them. That right now there's no system, and I think there will be soon. Most of the parts are in place for it, but there's no system yet for subduing a bounty and bringing them in to a place where they can be brought to justice. So let's look at the Aurora. This is the Aurora. Excuse me. This is the Aurora LX that I've got right here, and let me show you about its cabin. We're going to get out of the seat there, squeeze by the captain's chair, and there's the cabin. This is the entire cabin of the Aurora. And it has a bed. There, that's the bed. That's it. That's the whole Aurora. It's a pretty small ship, but it does have an interior. And because it does have an interior, you can put stuff in it. It has a cargo capacity, right? So you can put your helmet in there, You can put your undersuit in there, but we're not going to do that. We're going to wear the undersuit. And we might as well wear the helmet too. So you can, and you have enough room in here. Like this helmet only takes up 2%. With the flight suit, we're only taking up 7% of the total inventory space. So there's a fair amount of inventory space here. 650,000 micro SCU. That's enough for a couple of suits of armor and some guns. So you can take this ship out and go to a bunker and bring the loot back to your ship and store the loot. You can go exploring with this ship, and you can grab some loot while you're exploring, and you can put the loot in this ship. So that's, I feel like loot storage is a very important item that every person who plays Star Citizen ought to have a ship that can store loot items, that can store personal inventory stuff. And that's one of the reasons that I did not recommend the Mustang Alpha or any of the Mustangs as a beginner ship. Those ships are good at what they do, but they don't really... Oh, shoot. Let's see. So we got to go to this Montague, and I'm going to see if I can interrupt my quantum travel when I'm right over. Otherwise, it's just going to take too long to get there. All right. So I did that by turning off my ship when I was in flight. Just completely turned off everything. Yeah, there we go. Okay. That's much closer than 1,000 kilometers away. Much more reasonable. We're going to go to that. Alright, now you'll notice I've got 4 guns here. The Aurora has room for 4 gimbaled size 1 guns. The Bulldog is my gun of choice. And you can see there's got a fair amount of battery power, a fair amount of capacitance for these guns. And we can kind of just shoot one at a time. And you'll notice the heat is building up. You see the heat there on the right. The second bar, the one under that, the heat does build up. See that yellow there? That does build up, but it's not too bad, and it doesn't get hot enough to overheat the weapons. Let's see. Let's see. For the engines, we're gonna look at the G's that we produce here. Going backwards, gives us 4.1 G's. Going forward gives us, what's that? 8.6, okay. And then that's without even boosting. And boosting gives us about 50% more. Left and right. Yaw is 3.8 G's to the side. That's a pretty powerful yaw. And then 3.8 G's down. 7.2, twice as many G's up. The Aurora has a very nice. It's got a very nice, what shall we call it, yaw, and it's very powerful at translating. Left, right, up, down. Especially up thrusters that go up are always some of the most powerful thrusters. And you can see from here that a lot of these thrusters are directional, right? You can see those top 2 thrusters on the directional. And I like directional thrusters. better than fixed thrusters, honestly, because fixed thrusters, if you're all on fixed thrusters and one of them goes out, then they can't compensate for each other. But if they are directional thrusters, they kind of can. Let's see. We've got a little bit of, yeah, there's our guns. And because they are size 1, it costs us nothing to put them on gimbals. So the in Star Citizen, most of the time when you put a gimbal mount on a thruster, the gimbal mount is one size larger than the gun. So if you've got a size 2 hardpoint, you put a size 2 gimbal on it, and it holds a size 1 gun. Looks like we're coming in for a re-entry here. Maybe a little bit fast. So yeah, if you've got size 1 guns, it costs you nothing to put gimbals on them. So I highly recommend that you do that with your starter ship. It's only got 2 missiles, but that's 2 more missiles than the Mustang Alpha had. 2 missiles is not, and they're 2 size 2 missiles, so you could have 4 size 1 missiles instead. Put a different missile rack on there. The missile rack, the missiles, you can see they're right at the top, right above my head, my character's head. Looks like we're coming around this at night. Alright, taking a free look off. So one of the things I like about the Aurora as a starter ship is that not only does it have room for personal gear, but it also has room for boxes. So if you want to do a box delivery mission in this thing, you should be able to do that. Okay. Looks like we've got a bad guy on our radar now. He is in a Mustang Delta. And that guy is, oh no, he's in an Interceptor. Okay. Well, let's see if we can take him out. Okay.
Eat this.
I'm just gonna hit him as hard as we can. The M50 Interceptor is one of the more difficult ships to fight because, not because of its firepower, but just because of its sheer speed and nimbleness. It is a racer ship, and it shows when you are fighting it. So got some good hits in, but it looks like he's not really shooting at me very much. Ooh. Whoa. Don't know what that was. Let's see. Ooh, I hate it when they jump like that. And if you, let's see, if you hit these guys every 5 seconds, you can kind of keep their shields from charging, although the size 1 shields on this guy charge pretty quickly. And it can be hard.
Shit!
There we go. Yeah, I'm not going to bother dodging much if he's not shooting. Okay. As soon as I said that, he started shooting at me. Boom. Okay. I don't know why he suddenly stopped moving, but I'll take it. So yeah, I highly recommend if you're going to do any kind of PvP or PvE with any of these starting ships, I highly recommend getting some extra guns, because the difference between two guns and 4 guns is amazing. You know, it is. Not only is it twice as much firepower, but it also allows you to group them into different groups so that you can decide whether you want to... Ooh. You hit me with a rocket. Boom. Okay, I'm not sure why he wasn't shooting at me there, but as you can see, with 4 guns, even if they are size 1s instead of size 2s, there's a whole lot more damage output. 4 size 1 guns are way more damage than 2 size 2s. And then we're going to do a little disposal job. You can see I'll collect at least one of these so that you can see that there's plenty of room in the Aurora for boxes. Yeah, the Aurora LX is a little bit different from the Aurora, from the other Auroras. This is the luxury version. It's not particularly luxurious, but it does have slightly better components than most of them. It's got better components than the ES for sure, and comes with better stock components than the MR, I think. The MR and the LX and the LN all have great room for upgrades. I kind of recommend, I think the best variant of the Aurora is probably going to be the Aurora LN, although the MR is pretty good too. It's got just as many hard points as, I think it's got the same hard points as the LN. It just comes with worse guns stock. Let's see. Yeah, those directional thrusters are pretty cool. We got that rear thruster going as hard as it can. I found that if you're going as fast as you can, you don't have very much control, but you can just dip your speed under the absolute maximum and you get a whole lot more control back. Usually when I'm close to the collection site, I turn off my cruise control, put down my gear. Let's see, we're going to put down our speed too. Well, looks like a windy night. Oh man. They are really making us work for our money here. Collecting all kinds of bio waste here. How much? What are we doing this for? How much are they going to pay us? 3,000 AUEC. Yeah, this one's totally not worth it. There are definitely some better jobs than this one, but we're going to do it anyway right now. We're going to stack those crates into the Aurora. You can see we don't have a lot of space for them, but it doesn't matter whether we have a lot. It matters whether we have enough. So we're going to survival estimate 10 minutes. Holy cow, it is hot here. Is this Aberdeen? Yeah. Very hot, even at night. It's kind of funny how he uses his hands to get in. Even... Let's see. We're going to stack them right in front of the bed. Just went right through the door there. Let's see. Any good loot in here? Oh, we got Pitambu. Let's see. Yeah, we can. Put that helmet back on. Okay. Helmet is back on. Sometimes when you're in these outposts, you can get some good loot. Okay. We're gonna grab our bio waste. So fitting 3 of these crates into a ship is kind of the landmark. If you can fit 3 crates into your ship, then you can definitely do delivery missions. You can do these cleanup missions. Well, I placed it inside and it clipped me out of the ship, but you know what, that's okay. I don't mind. Aurora is a little bit buggy sometimes, but there you have it. And we're going to get one more. What's in this loot crate? All right, let's pick up some armor. There we go. So with the Aurora, I think the Aurora is the better ship here for a beginner in general. And this is because it has more versatility. There are several things you can do with the Aurora that simply cannot be done with any of the variants on the Mustang, and this is one of them. You can do a nice little disposal mission. And then your ship is still usable. It's still got enough usable space to get in and out. If we had any cargo on the ship, it would be under here. This is where the cargo goes. And I think eventually you're going to be able to put like crates or boxes in here on your own. But for right now, that doesn't happen. So it may become a little more useful in the future. For right now, the crates all have to go in the cab. And while I can't say there's a lot of room for them, there's enough. And you can do delivery missions. You can pretend to be UPS, or you can be the garbage man, and you can lift off with the garbage, take it away, and get credit for it. So it says bio-waste remaining 0 out of 3, and it should give us credit for completing that outpost soon. There it goes. Outpost completed 1 out of 3. Alright. So there we are. Oh yeah, that is Aberdeen. That's why we were cooking. Okay. So, let's take a look at some of these missions that we can do. We can do all these delivery missions. I mean, they're all the same. But we can do delivery missions. We can do these search missions for packages that are time sensitive. Let's see. Are these the time sensitive one? Yeah, this is the time sensitive one. So you can put those on the ship. Investigation missions. Some of the bounty hunter missions you can do. Obviously this VHRT one, the group ERT one. I would never do those in an Aurora. I wouldn't even try it. But the VLRT ones, you should be able to do just fine. LRT, you should be able to do just fine. MRT, once you get pretty good at this game, I think you'll be able to take on the MRTs, and then you can decide whether you want to keep doing those and go further. All of these mercenary missions, you can do all of them in the Aurora. And you can come away with some stuff, some loot, and you can put it in there. So all of these mercenary missions, I think all of these mercenary missions will be completely reasonable to do in an Aurora, as long as you make sure you bring the hardware to do it. So yeah, the Aurora, it gets... Now, what you can't do with the Aurora, there's a couple of things you can't do with it. You can't transport large amounts of cargo. It's only got room under there for like 3 SCU of cargo. I think there's a cargo carrying variant that carries 6 SCU. Very, very small amount of cargo space. And you have a bed, but that's it. You don't have any other amenities. Other amenities aren't really important yet, but I think they will be someday. It's fun to do some bounties in this starter ship. It's a really kind of bare bones, just what you need to get started kind of ship. But maybe that's going to be my thumbnail. Kind of a bare bones starter ship, but it does get you out into the universe, and you can do everything in this ship that that the game has to offer, unlike with the Mustang Alpha. So yeah, it's got pretty snappy controls here. I think you're gonna like the Aurora. It's a decent ship. I can't say it's my favorite ship of them all because I've got some bigger, more upgraded ships later, and I'm going to do reviews of some other ships and show you what I think of them. But I think the Aurora is a fine starter ship, and between the Aurora and the Mustang, right now as of version 3.17.1, the Aurora seems like the clearly better starting ship for people who are just joining the game. All right, so I give this the Aurora a B+ for combat. As a light fighter, it's pretty good. It is behind the Mustang. It's not as nimble as the Mustang. It's not as fast as the Mustang, and it's not going to have quite the agility of the Mustang. But it brings enough firepower to get the job done, and it's nimble enough to mostly avoid getting hit when you're on your game. And for general usefulness, I give it a B+ as well. So this is a solid kind of B+ kind of ship, and it makes a fine addition to makes a fine addition to anybody's fleet. It is good for personal transportation because it's got a bed, it's got a seat, and it claims very quickly. This can be claimed instantly for about 500 AUEC. It takes about a minute. All of the variants of the Aurora take about a minute or less to be claimed, or you can pay somewhere around 500 credits to get them all shipped in instantly. And that's great. That's a great thing. So, solid B+ ship. I will be reviewing future ships in the future, and you'll see what a better ship looks like. But there is absolutely nothing wrong with the Aurora, and if that's what you want to start with, if you want to start with something that's at that very low entry level tier, I recommend the Aurora. Thank you very much.